Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patrons, Media Cafe Online and Rob Z. Thank you for choosing to support the channel. Tesla may be looking to raise about $1 billion in a new asset-backed security deal. Essentially, they're going to package up some of their lease loans, collateralize it into a bond, and then sell it to investors to raise a bit of capital. As you can see, Tesla hasn't really done anything like this in about a year or so, but it's not something Tesla's never done before. I think they've done between 5 and 8 deals over the past 6 or so years, with their first ABS deal back around 2017. So let's go back to when Tesla's first ABS deal actually closed to see what was going on. Of course, a much different interest rate environment, as well as Tesla not yet at that time having the investment grade rating. Even still, Tesla found eager buyers, allowing it to cut interest rates on the multi-part deal from the levels initially floated to investors, which of course is better for Tesla. The new bondholders, or just the investors that are buying these ABS securities from Tesla, actually get paid from the customers that are making their lease payments, as well as through the resale value of the Tesla vehicles. Simply put, there are investors looking to buy some debt that offer better yields than the benchmark that's available in the market. These asset-backed securities that are backed by Tesla leases can oftentimes have different tranches. So they have prime or customers with good credit ratings all the way down to poor credit. For example, in Tesla's 2018 deal, one of the tranches came with a 0.3 percentage point yield premium or spread above the benchmark, but the lowest rated slice sold at 2.65 percentage points yield premium. In Tesla's first ABS deal, they were using leases for the Model S and X, but in some of the deals since, they've also included Model Y into the mix. In March of 2021, Tesla was working on their 5th auto lease securitization bond deal offering, where they were looking to raise about $1.1 billion with lease contracts originated by the Tesla Finance captive arm of Tesla Inc. This is Tesla's financing division that's been slowly growing its portfolio of captive loans, essentially providing the loan and the backing for the end consumer rather than the banks. And yes, I know just a few months ago, Elon said not to expect Tesla's finance captive arm to be growing significantly, but that doesn't mean it's not going to grow at all. I'm not at all expecting this to happen, but I think it's worth mentioning. Tesla was looking to do a deal like this last year, but as you can see, they delayed it because there was so much uncertainty with interest rates rising quickly. And now, relative to where we were, there's a bit more certainty when it comes to interest rates, which makes these deals easier to get done. Even though Tesla doesn't have a ton of experience in this market, being a relatively newer company, their managed portfolio of securitizations have performed well. Proof, going back to Tesla's first ABS deal, investors had put in orders for as much as 14 times what Tesla intended to sell on some slices of the ABS. In the past, Tesla has really signaled that they plan to become a regular issuer of these asset-backed securities. Speaking of Tesla's first deal, an analyst called investor demand for the deal extreme. And we're back to today. Remember, this deal is still in the pre-marketing stage, so not a done deal. The pre-sale report from Fitch is telling us this ABS package is going to include leases from Tesla's finance or that captive arm, and the average credit score of these consumer leases is 773. Everyone's biggest question will be why, and I could sit here and speculate. Maybe it's Tesla getting ready to do a share buyback that Elon hinted at in the past. Maybe Tesla just wants to get some of these leases off its books to essentially free up some more room or liquidity for more of that captive financing, like that UK 0% APR deal for those PCP deals we talked about yesterday. And maybe most importantly, let's not forget Tesla's capital expenditures every year is not slowing down, it's still growing. And with all of Elon's discussions with world leaders, they're clearly looking to expand the business as fast as possible still. And just to drive this point home, one of the biggest reasons for a company like Tesla to do a deal like this, even when they don't technically need capital right now, they have over $20 billion in cash. These deals, for the lender that issues the ABS, the benefit is that potentially risky loans are removed from their balance sheet as they've been securitized and sold to outside investors. If you listen to my convo with Herbert, we talked a lot about flywheels, and that principle applies here too. Tesla has all of these leases that it's going to package up and put into this bond security, sell it to investors, get it off the books, get that capital infusion, and then maybe use that money to do more of exactly the same. On the other side of the coin, these asset-backed securities provide an alternative investment vehicle that provides higher yields and can provide greater stability than government bonds. So we don't have the official why Tesla is doing this, and it may not just be one singular reason, but we do know that Tesla clearly likes the market, it likes the demand, and overall likes the terms that it expects to get from this deal. Tesla Owners UK shared some pictures, and they're talking about a V4 supercharger with a contactless bank card area and space for a screen on the actual stall. No disrespect to the Tesla Owners UK, but it's unfortunate that this is the best photo that they could get from this opportunity. This is what they're referring to as an area for a screen and a card reader. If you've been around the channel, you may remember earlier this year, Tesla actually really said no to about $6 million for some supercharging locations in California. The reason they cited unnecessarily cumbersome payment infrastructure requirements that caused them to walk away. Those requirements were that chargers must have multiple point of sale methods, credit or debit cards, in addition to payment through mobile apps. Unfortunately, this is one of those that might leave us with more questions than answers. How widespread could this new V4 type of stall actually be? Will it only be in locations where this type of thing is actually required by law? Or is the back-end software handshake situation between all of these other automakers that are now going to use the NACS going to cause problems where they actually need something like this? I can't imagine they couldn't engineer a better solution, but I'm also not a software engineer, and I know with all of the different brands and all of their different suppliers and different softwares, I understand why it could be a pretty daunting task. And there's at least a non-zero chance this has something to do with why we haven't seen more V4 supercharger installs in the United States as Tesla figures out how these regulations are going to shake out. From Joe Tetmeyer at Giga, Texas, they've now installed 40 plus Tesla Megapacks of 68 planned. Joe also shared some pictures of deliveries at the 4680 production section at Giga, Texas. If you zoom in on one of those images, you'll see Project Schuler Battery Press Line, Tesla Austin. Earlier this year, Schuler was providing its services to a different company, but they had received an order for a production line capable of pressing battery cell housings. So whatever's actually under these blue tarps is most likely a good sign for 4680 production from Giga Austin. Things are really heating up in India. Now we have Panasonic actually in talks with the Indian government to set up shop there after a potential request from Tesla to do so. Sounds like Tesla has asked its battery suppliers to engage in these conversations with the Indian government, and the president and CEO of Panasonic apparently did exactly that, discussing the possibilities of building a battery supply chain in India. These players are currently studying the incentives that Tesla and its partners could receive if they decide to set up shop in India. We also have BYD looking to set up a joint venture in India to make EVs and batteries. That $1 billion investment would be to build EVs and batteries in partnership with a local company, Hyderabad-based Mega Engineering and Infrastructures, a joint EV venture. The longer-term plan is to build a full lineup of BYD brand EVs in India, from hatchbacks to luxury models. BYD has already invested over $200 million in India, where it sells the Atto 3 and the E6 EV to corporate fleets, and plans to launch the Seal luxury sedan this year. BYD plans to scale up to production of 100,000 EVs annually in India over a few years, but would likely begin by shipping vehicles in parts for assembly in the country as it works to build up a supply chain. This proposal also includes setting up charging stations in India and to build R&D and training centers. One of the big complaints about people talking about companies going to India is the lack of infrastructure, so that of course a big deal. Back in 2013, BYD actually started building electric buses with this same company, Mega Engineering. The two biggest EV players in India right now, Tata Motors and MG Motor. The Malaysian Prime Minister held a call with Elon to discuss Tesla's investment in the country and SpaceX, but they just confirmed what we already knew. Tesla will open an office, showrooms, and service centers, as well as build out the supercharging locations. And Tesla Asia on Twitter made it official, the Model Y is now available to order. Tesla Phoenix shared some images of the inside of the Tesla Cybertruck Structure. I hesitate to call it an exoskeleton because I'm not sure it technically meets those requirements just yet. It appears as though there's some type of anti-corrosion coating on here, but I think one of the biggest takeaways would be the lack of a pass-through or lack of connection between the vault and the interior cabin. With this structure right here and a very small window going back into the vault where the tonneau cover is essentially going to roll down right into this area, seems unlikely to expect any sort of pass-through right here. Maybe we get some type of mid-gate or fold-down situation where there's some access to the vault from the cabin, but I don't think it's a full laydown like some people were hoping for originally. For what it's worth, last year at the Cyber Rodeo in April, the Kilowatt said can confirm Cybertruck rear glass drops. The mid-gate appears to be able to fold. Fingers crossed. The president of Hyundai Motors just said we must consider how helpful the NACS system would be to our customers if we use Tesla standards and verify whether the charging efficiency is effective. Tesla also has a lot to help us with. The second part is fair enough, and the first part, maybe he's referring to the voltage limitations with the current iteration of the V3 superchargers that we've talked about companies like Lucid, Kia, and Hyundai are dealing with that operate on that 800-volt architecture. He said, we'll decide soon whether to join the alliance, taking into account the benefits to our customers, like how to apply the charging fees discount Tesla customers get if our customers go to Tesla for charging and it takes longer. I'll be honest with you guys, I really am not sure what he's talking about here, so if you understand this second part of the saying, please let me know below. After a bonus cut for some Tesla Shanghai workers in Q1, now in Q2, Tesla has given a bigger bonus to at least several workers. This time around, the bonuses are 1.5 times the monthly base salary for Q2, and previously they were at 1.2 times the monthly salary. No reason was cited for why these were given out, and we don't know how many people actually received them. We've talked about the Polestar 3 in the past, but Electrified put together some of the latest specs. Most importantly though, the standard dual motor model starts at $83.9 thousand, pricing itself right out of any IRA credits. Production should start next year. This will definitely be a tough cross-sell for Polestar going up against the Model Y, but there's absolutely plenty of people that don't want to drive a Tesla, and this will be a nice vehicle for them, albeit a bit more expensive. Farley tweeted out the newest addition to the Ford EV lineup, the Mustang Mach E Rally, which yes, is coming to the US and Europe. At this point, we really just don't know much of anything about this vehicle. Rivian has unveiled its dual motor performance variant to a select group of R1T reservation holders. And yes, this truck does have Rivian's in-house built drive units called Enduro. In case you're interested, this will be below. Thomas Schaefer, VW's CEO of passenger cars, just said this is the final wake-up call to a group of about 2,000 leaders. We're letting the costs run too high in many years. The company will focus on higher volume models to streamline production while reducing the number of variants to further optimize efficiency. The CEO also said the roof structure is on fire. This is the final wake-up call. The reason they're citing for demand problems at VW is the agency model that the automaker implemented with dealers. It's supposed to help save on sales costs, but limits the dealer's ability to raise or lower prices. A VW sales rep said, the manufacturer cannot sell directly. That becomes clear in times like these. Adding EVs are simply too expensive. Schaefer also suggested that all is at stake. He also reportedly called for an immediate spending freeze because he said we're letting costs run too high in many areas. He told attendees that the next few weeks and months will be very tough for VW. He also announced some performance programs that over the next 3 years should save VW around $11.2 billion. Bear in mind, this is happening at a time when VW's sales in China are in decline. And the 2024 GMC Hummer EV gets an extra 26 miles of range compared to last year, now sitting at 381 miles on the largest 205 kilowatt hour battery pack. So maybe this will boost Hummer EV sales from 47 in Q2 over that 50 mark in a future quarter. Hope you guys have a wonderful and a safe weekend. Please like the video if you did, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.